So I was supposed to go for an interview. I asked them, can I start working? And they were like, okay, help ho jayegi ghar pe. But then obviously I had to go in a sari because you can't wear anything else.
And you have to wear something else for the interview?
Yeah. Obviously, I didn't want to go in a sari.
Okay.
I don't know what you had to wear that time, but I didn't want to go. So obviously, I wore some Western clothes inside, and I just took a wraparound sari, wore it, completed the interview. While coming back, my husband was supposed to pick me up, but somehow he didn't pick up. I thought, okay, let me take a public transport. And I was chilling in that Western outfit with a bag and sari and everything inside. And I was just sitting in the second row seat. I still remember that. I cannot forget that day.
Plot twist is coming.
Yeah. So I'm sitting, I'm just enjoying my freedom. Okay, I'm wearing this and roaming in Pune.
A pant, imagine.
Oh
Blasphemy that you wore a
Denim,
pant.
the blasphemy.
And all of a sudden on the front seat, I see someone's head which looks like my father-in-law. And I just see, and I don't realize. And again, I'm like, he's not looking like your father-in-law, Sarika. He is your father-in-law. And I'm like, now what do I do?
इतना लेट नहीं चलेगा
30 and unmarried.
Oh, backless talk.
अपन नहीं मानेंगे।
क्यों नहीं चाहिए बच्चे?
लोग क्या कहेंगे सोलो ट्रिप हस्बैंड के साथ जाना
What do I do? Arey, just be. Not allowed.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Not Allowed podcast. This is a space where we talk about all things not allowed by the patriarchal society, but we do it anyway, secretly. I'm your host A, just living the same secretive life like many out there, and in solidarity, I'm just gonna go by A.
Today I have with me two guests. Saloni, who's a marketing professional.
Hi, I'm Saloni, and my not allowed story is I was not made to sleep on my bed during my periods.
And Sarika, who's a financial planner.
Hi, I'm Sarika here and I'm a financial planner. I was not allowed to unveil my ghungat all these years.
To just ease you all a bit into the conversation, I'll just get started a little bit about myself. One thing that I was not really allowed to do as a child, and I still am not, is to cut my hair. I always have been told that, Arey, you are a female and you have to look like a woman and always maintain that femininity. So even till date, I have to always hide about this. I did not cut my hair, I think, for 15 years. Yeah, like the first time that I ever cut my hair was when I was in senior KG. I think when that Kajol Kuch Hota Hai cut came, my mom cut my hair and my dad gave us such a firing. I never stepped into a parlor until my second year of degree college. That is when I met Saloni. So I was Rapunzel for my whole life, Yeah. So I really would go around with, and even if people didn't know my name, they would just know me as that long-haired person who was there in the school and the colony. So yeah, I mean, even till now, I always clip up my hair when I'm in the house, and that's this secret life.
Did
that I
it become
really-
like a big part of your identity?
My hair has become my identity for a very long time now. People who know me from back then think that, oh, she was that. I mean, I kind of still, for people, this is still like very long. So they still associate me with longish hair. So somewhere it has kind of become my identity. So yeah, I still try to juggle through that and living through this. It's still quite a part of my life. But I mean, I'll keep chiming in about this. So like, let's hear about Sarika's story first. And what was it that you were not allowed to do? And what are the things that still there?
So I was married in a typical Marwadi Jain family. And the first day what I got to know is I have to wear a ghungat.
Okay, and you were not told about this before?
No, in fact, I asked beforehand that do you have this ghungat system? And they were like, no. You don't have it. And first day it started off with the ghungat and fights going on for that, And I didn't really want to put ghungat. So there was a kind of, not a fight, but then, I just used to stay calm, but then obviously never wear a ghungat. And they started comparing me with the other bahus because, they were wearing ghungat and stuff. So why aren't you doing it?
And that was the only thing, like the clothing part? No. What were the other
Everything,
things as well?
everything was different. So we were staying in a joint family.
Okay.
And a lot of restrictions. Even if I had to go out with my husband poor thing, he had to see before 5 days how his mom's mood is, and accordingly, maska polish chalu.
Just so that you can wear a different dress.
No,
Okay.
just to go out.
Okay, just to go out. The
It's not
changing
even-
part doesn't. Okay,
The changing part is like you just have to wear a wraparound, and inside you can wear whatever you want.
Oh, the wraparound is very significant too.
She has a very interesting story. So to go out, to wear what you want, and was it even for working? Was that also a part?
So
where-
initially, though, even I was not interested in working. Maybe because I got a child also fast, and I never thought in those lines.
Okay, and this was like quite a way before
This
you
is
said.
before 20 years.
Okay, quite a long time.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think that time majorly women never used to work. There were a few who used to work, but at least in my community, so I had accepted that fact. I was okay with that actually. I never fought for that I want to work or anything. But there are many small things, like when you have two co-sisters who are elder to you. So there's always this fight, mother-in-law to hai hai, but uske alawa bhi there are two more people.
Okay, and they also would be like, okay, we also kind of need to maintain this rule and kind of rule
Yes,
over
exactly.
you.
Or, we did it, so you have to do it. It's basically we did it, so you have to do it.
क्योंकि सास भी कभी बहू भी.
Exactly. मैंने किया है, so you have to do it.
I don't think I can imagine, but just I think looking at all the serials or whatever we've been fed throughout our lives, I can kind of picture what it might have looked like back then. And so did you do anything to revolt against them, or just, it was like you kind of initially accepted?
No, so I didn't revolt back, you can say. I didn't accept it also.
Okay.
So it was, two ways. Sometimes I just used to do, okay, whatever they're saying, I'm fine with it. But sometimes I never used to do it. Like, suppose for an example, I usually used to, like, suppose you do any mistake, according to them, it's not a mistake, but according to them, supposedly you've done something, the lecture goes on and on for 3 days repetitively, and there were 15 people. So whenever one comes, it starts off. So what I did is I just got a Walkman from my place. We used to have those Walkmans. We used to insert it in the sari, put it in my ear, sar pe od diya. Listen to that. That's it.
Don't
I
even
am
see that you
okay.
plugged the
Yeah,
earphones.
yes, earphones plug कर दो, सारी थी, and सर पे तो रखना ही है, तो I'm okay with that. You are happy कि you're shouting at me. I'm happy that I'm not listening to it.
But they never realize, like, she's really not listening or responding.
No, but because you're not anyway supposed to answer them back.
Oh
no?
my
So it's
God.
fine.
Oh, that's a genius hack. Oh, wow. Walkman would have never realized what it ended up doing when it introduced.
But imagine, like, okay, so she's just there and she's listening to maybe like the great hits of something, and people are going on yapping, and she's like, they're supposed to be this woman who does not say anything at all. But you don't know she's not listening at all.
I'm
Wow.
hearing to kuch hota hai. And she's happy that, okay, I'm shouting at my bahu.
And she's not saying a word. Wow.
Wow.
Like, sanskar hota hai aise, Walkman wale. Okay, and you don't know, you really need to hear this. Tell me about the day you went for an interview.
So this was maybe after 2 years or 3 years of my marriage, and we had some financial issues at my in-laws' place. So I was supposed to go for an interview. I asked them, can I start working? And they were like, okay, help ho jayegi ghar pe. But then obviously I had to go in a sari because you can't wear anything else.
And you had to
So-
wear something else for the interview?
Yeah, obviously. I didn't want to go in a sari.
Okay.
I don't know what you had to wear that time, but I didn't want to go. So obviously I wore some western clothes inside, and I just took a wraparound sari, wore it, completed the interview. While coming back, my husband was supposed to pick me up, but somehow he didn't pick up. I thought, okay, let me take a public transport. And I was chilling in that western outfit with a bag and sari and everything inside, and I was just sitting in the second row seat. I still remember that. I cannot forget that day.
Plot twist is coming.
Yeah. So I'm sitting, I'm just enjoying my freedom. Okay, I'm wearing this and roaming in Pune.
A pant, imagine.
Oh
Blasphemy that you wore a
Denim,
pant.
the blasphemy.
And all of a sudden on the front seat, I see someone's head which looks like my father-in-law. And I just see, and I don't realize. And again, I'm like, he's not looking like your father-in-law, Sarika. He is your father-in-law. And I'm like, now what do I do? Because, I know that he's got a habit of seeing around. He's not, going to just sit simply. And if they get to see me in this, obviously, फिर तो it'll be too much. So I was thinking what to do. I hid my face with a book. I carried a book for the interview, so I just hid my face with that, and I was like, we both had to get down at the same stop. So what do I do? Because
You could have taken the next stop or something after, right?
yeah,
Not the
but I
one-
really didn't know which stop he takes. Plus, he's a person who's going to see everywhere. I knew that. So, and if he sees this, I'm gone. Like, I knew that. I didn't have an escape for this. So, what I did is smartly, when the conductor pulls that ring for getting down.
Yeah.
I didn't get down that time. And again, he pulls a ring that, the bus is about to start. I actually plunged out like hell, like a wind coming in and going out. And then I didn't know where to change now because he's going to come somewhere.
Yeah.
Ek do stop hi hue. So I actually went to a Jain temple, went there.
Oh my god.
I wore the wraparound sari, walked in like, yes, sanskari bahu aa gayi.
In the house of God.
बचा लो मुझे.
And they're asking like, how was the interview? मैंने बोला अच्छा था मम्मी जी. And my father-in-law came and I was like, यार पता नहीं इनको पता है नहीं पता. I am like, for 4-5 days I was really clueless. I told to my husband, he's like, ठीक है ना छोड़ ना, whatever it is, we'll see. But I really used to get scared,
So all of that paid off. You ended up getting the job.
No, I didn't end up getting the job. That was okay. That time my concern was not the job.
I can totally
The
understand.
trauma was something else altogether.
Yeah, exactly.
Job million.
I'd completely forgotten about the job. In fact, I met so many interesting people there. It was an IT job. Initially, that was the time when IT started off. So I had been for one of the first few interviews, and they were really impressed that you're not from the IT background, and here she comes walking, and I actually passed through all the interviews. I really don't know how.
See, that's a happiness in you. कि आज मैंने पैंट पहना है. I can conquer the world.
But I think he didn't know, or maybe he knew, but he never made an issue of it. Whatever it is, it was good.
Thankful. And this was a situation like even when you had to go out and you wanted to wear something, so you'd get out of the house and wear something.
You just wear inside, and then there is a ready-made sari,
Wow. I don't know this.
Huh. Most of the Marwadi
Yeah.
people know this.
Yeah. So I also have memories of like my mommies doing it, Nana Nani ke samne wrap around turant, and then gaadi mein sitting on that seat next to the husband. Everything is coming off, and they're like back to being a modern, nice new nari.
And then sometimes you're worried, bahar kaun milega, wo bhi ek dar hai.
That's what I think. Like maybe like such communities, you know a lot of people, and if you live in like smaller cities, it's not just like your immediate family. There's a lot of like your neighbor auntie or some relative or someone's gonna spot you and just go back. Like that never bothered you.
Then you just pray that even they are in something like that.
But so those were those times. Is this
No,
still...
not now.
Okay.
It's just, see, I wanted to do a few things. So I was never, you have to find some jugaad, what we call it. This was
Exactly.
like a
This is-
jugaad.
that's what
They
we
are
were
happy,
for.
I am happy.
Saloni, let's come to your stories.
When I think of like my childhood, I don't think of any like bad memories as such. I was like a straight A kid, doing really well academically. Internally in the house though, there were always, of course, these limitations and restrictions. But I think because they were so, the common norm, my brain really does not take them as bad as I ought to. So again, curfews were super common. Certain strict rules against going to trips or meeting your friends, or oh my god, sleepovers. I think I've fought the most, I've made up the most amount of stories for sleepovers, because there was just something, when you're suppressing so many emotions, a pile of all these bittersweet feelings, and especially when you're a teenager, you need to be able to disclose all of them into the deep phases of the night. And I don't know, for some reason it was the most comfortable I felt, ranting it all out after 12 a.m. I fought the most for those things. So I still remember like my best friend's parents had to, because I used to just slam my door and leave. Like those were like that precious to me. कि मैं झगड़ूंगी, but मैं ये sleepover तो करूंगी. I need it. Like that was my therapy at that point of time. And I remember all my friends' parents had to just like call up my mom and be like,
Same.
आपकी लड़की आ गई है, चिंतित मत रहो, everything is fine, she'll कल नाश्ता करके उसको वापस घर पे भेज दूंगी. That pattern actually continued a lot, like even after the teenage part, which was like the kind of like sad, they did not learn that.
Yeah, my parents had to leave me to her like door. Like
Yeah.
auntie had to see my dad had to see that okay, her parents are there at the house. She's not just lying and going off to some place. So I totally relate.
I mean,
to
But
that.
then, is that like an insecure feeling? I think it's about trust then. If they
Many
really
things.
want to go and leave there and see, check out.
He used to always tell me this thing that tomorrow if something happens, I don't want the blame that I did not check or I did not care or whatever it was. So
The final draw, I think, for me just became escapism, because, living, not feeling quite like myself over all these years, knowing that I was kind of like the oddball in the family, there's something which is suffocating you. You could not quite like point a finger at it. And then I was like, I need to leave this environment because I've outgrown it like massively. And it started off as a choice of escapism, right? Okay, I'm going to leave. I'm going to go for a master's, but it was just more about, wanting to leave this toxic environment and the community that you were surrounded with. But now I realize like 3 years on, it's more of a conscious choice. It's more of wanting to explore my own self-growth, which I know I can choose to do that. So now, rather than looking from a lens of, oh my God, this is happening, why can't my parents be so-and-so, why can't my community be so-and-so, I just choose to not give in to all of it, rather make a life that I'm worthy and proud of, because you have the tools, right? You can choose to leave, you can choose to build what you wanted to all your life. You can choose to be the guiding kind of that spirit for the little child that was not, made to live as freely as she wanted to. And that's my, I think, goal for the next phase of my life, to not just feel limited, to not whine and cry about everything that couldn't be, but everything that you can still make possible.
yeah, I get that. Even now when I do like the littlest of things, if I travel alone for the first time, even though I've taken countless flights in my entire life, just to go for the first time and to feel I can do this for myself and I can somehow figure this out, I feel
Yeah.
that's a very big thing, to do the tiniest of things, and it somewhere comes from, let me just try and see if I can figure this out for myself. And somewhere once you do it once or twice, you feel okay, I can. So suddenly, what were the other things that actually, like, apart from like curfews and sleepovers, what were the other things that you had to
Yeah, okay. So my earliest memory of being outcast in my own home was weirdly when I became a woman / hit puberty.
Okay.
So for a curious like straight 8th grader, the concept of being shunned away because she was bleeding amounted to like a lot of confusion, right? You're like a 13-year-old kid, you're trying to figure out what is happening with your body. And all my questions were met with like blind ignorance, a theme which was very common to my household. This was surprisingly also the beginning of my dysmenorrhea, which was like staring at the face of death every month as I bled and vomited.
I can
So there she was, this little kid fainting in school, college, workplaces, in front of her peers, only to be sent home 4 days a month while being made to sleep on the floor. Like when I look back now, I even shiver because I used to tell my sister I'd rather prefer death over this pain, while she was barred from even touching my weak body to comfort me because I was considered impure, And these traditions in the 21st century have continued from the medieval ages, where a woman was isolated in a hut for a period of rest. That was the logic. But we don't have that anymore. We have women who are working now, who need to be moving, and who are subjected to those same conservative traditions. And what's stunning is, so at the end of my 4th day, there's a sprinkling of cow urine on myself to get me to be pure again, and everything comes back to normalcy.
So that still happens now?
Yes, but I have upgraded from the floor to the bed because of me and my sister locking the door, and of course, we used to set alarms of like 6 a.m. in the morning. कि bed पे सोते थे, and then 6 a.m. we used to shift back because his mom, should not feel like we are rebelling quite so soon yet. And now the upgradation has happened, but the practice is still the same. Still not allowed, in the kitchens, in temples, in wedding functions.
Wedding? Oh.
Made to wash my own clothes and, utensils that I'm wearing. The girl goes abroad for an education, and that's when she has the privilege of sleeping on the bed for the first time on her period. And I'm like, oh wow, this is luxury,
Yeah, I remember when I got my first period. Actually, I was the first one to get amongst all my friends. I was like just 10. And there are girls who are 14, 15 and they haven't gotten it yet. But in my head, I'm like, why has this happened to me? Did I do something bad or something, whatever with my body? And now I have to hide this also from my family. What all I have to hide? And to go around like nothing has happened to me. And I hid that I got my period for months from my own family as well, because my mom had given me like some set of rules that okay, once this happens to you, you're not supposed to jump around and play a lot. And I was crazy, like I loved playing. So she had told me like, nee, you can't do all this stuff, you should know. And she out of no context had told me that I can't be around boys. Now in my head I didn't even understand why or how, what has me bleeding got to do with me not
I think it was the libido.
As a 10-year-old, oh god. And in my head, I'm like, why can't I just be with my friends? And then she had told me I had to eat a lot of yucky stuff, which I did not like. So in my head, I was seeing this as something extremely bad.
There was a manual of all the not to do's given to you.
Yeah, and this has not even happened to me. मेरे friends को भी किसी को भी नहीं हुआ है. No one knows like what this is. It's just something that I've heard from like the older girls, who are like in 10th and 11th, 12th, that this is something that happens. The sentence I remember was बहुत खून निकलता है, दर्द होता है. Now what has a 10-year-old got to figure out from this? So once this happened, I thought, something's wrong, and now how do I stop this? And so month on month, I have gone hiding. I have just clenched my legs. I've sat through the night so that I don't bleed around. I've washed my own clothes, and my mom is not understanding why she's behaving like this, but she still has not known for months that I have gotten my period. I have used paper and blah, blah, what all things so that I don't bleed through my uniform and things like that. It was a miracle that I did not get any infection. I don't know how that happened. And one day I did get caught because she saw some stain. And she's gone around telling the whole neighborhood, relatives. Like she's shouting from the rooftops and I'm just crying because you're just out there telling everyone my private stories without my consent. And they want to do like a big function and call a lot of people without asking me. And I'm getting yelled at because I am upset because apparently it's supposed to be a good thing. But no one explained to me that this is a good thing. Like, at least give me one chocolate and say that this is a good thing, na? Instead of just always...
Isn't it also celebrated in the South Indian tradition?
Yeah, it is. It is supposed to be celebrated, but again, anything that you do has to come from consent, right? First of all, you didn't even ask me how I am feeling. You're just saying it's a good thing, but you're not making me understand why it's a good thing. You didn't... This is my body, right? And I have the right, if I want to share this with someone or not share this with, maybe with some time I could process it and then feel like telling no. You just pick up the phone and you're just shouting to the entire world. So I felt that I had no right, no agency over whatever is happening to me. And till date, that's a very scarring memory in my head to think of when I got my first period and how things went. Now in retrospect, I feel stupid because if I had done that, I would have gotten a lot of gifts and things from everyone. But
and
then
amazing photographs also.
I know, but I would have been super embarrassed. They did make me do that.
Proper photo shoot.
That was another thing that they made me do later. But yeah, now I feel like and what gifts I would have gotten, like I don't know, gold and things like that. I'm so stupid back then. But yeah. So I do understand when certain things like this happen, suddenly you're seen as, you're told to also behave like a woman. Now I'm 10. Behave like a woman. So yeah, it's suffocating to say the least. I get what maybe I don't know if you went through anything like this, but whatever you said, that itself was
I was
Yeah.
made to just consider it bad from the get-go, right? Because I was shunned immediately. This is, again, those cotton kapadas that you kept. So no tampons, no pads, nothing.
you were not given sanitary pads.
No. So mom put me on them. In the middle of all my pain, I'm like crawling like a weakling on the floor, and I'm made to wash everything that I'm wearing. Like I said, I'm made to wash everything that I'm eating in. It was terrible because as a little kid, when you're navigating something so complex, you're first not made to understand what is happening to your body. Again, I thought I did something. I thought this was something evil, but why am I bleeding? I did not do anything wrong, And instead of making you understand what is happening, you're going to the other end of the extreme and, shunning the little girl child altogether. It cast such a bad imprint that it just also piled up over the years. Also with my visits, I think, to the gynecologist with my pain and everything, it was just I kept asking, I'm like, can I like have my uterus removed? And of course that got subjected to a lot of stale statements, but again there was just this open communication and dialogue missing, because even from their end the first question was, are you married? Do you plan to have kids? How are you asking that to a teenager first of all in the first place? Like, again, even science was unable to get me to understand what exactly is happening. So I had to grow up just figuring out all the questions, all the answers by myself. And it was just like a constant, every month was a constant loop of what can I now do better? First of all, again, firstly, to revolt against something that I absolutely don't agree with. And secondly, to make this just a better state of life for myself and for everybody else that's coming. Like I think it's a personal goal to now banish this within the community, because you're clearly living and stuck in the past in the 21st century in a modern household, which is just not okay.
You thought of doing stuff for the future, and my thing was, I did not know that periods are a lifelong subscription. Yeah, I thought ये मैं कुछ तो कर लूँ, like for 2-3 months somehow my body will
Oh, wouldn't that
pass
be
through
great?
this. After everything that was done, like they said, okay, we won't do the function. My parents knew I was out of this hiding thing. And the biggest shock that was to me was when my mom said, okay, I said, okay, chalo, everything is done. Finally ho gaya. And she's like, what do you mean? It's going to come back again each every month for like 30 years. And I don't know, I think the way they say mere samne dharti fat gayi or whatever, that's exactly what happened to me. That please, like, don't tell me this is what I have to deal with forever. But then I am almost for 2 tickets now. So yeah, that's been a journey, and it's a going on journey that I cannot cancel. So yeah, and so you said that you had an elder sister, right? This was same for her as well.
Yeah. But because of my condition, my pain was just inexplicably unbearable. And she did have pain, but not at the same intensity as me. But it was actually kind of, I think, nice not growing up just by myself, to have a sister to share the misery with. So the misery was collective. To, have an elder sister, be a partner in crime with all of these shenanigans. Like, you're locking the door, it's okay, I'll talk to mom, and, we'll get this done, we'll get this made for you, and stuff like that. That, I think, was my only saving grace, like, throughout those years of misery.
So she had figured, like, certain things that could be done. And,
exactly.
Like, or you had, like,
exactly.
some
Thank
support system
goodness
in
for
place.
that. I think I owe a lot of my sanity to my sister growing up.
Is it the same that now that she's married, we'll come to that as
Yeah.
well? But does she follow the same thing, like, now,
No.
even after?
Oh, thank goodness she's in a better house where there's open dialogue, which is again a luxury for the two of us.
Open dialogue.
There are just the four of them are individual, complete people by themselves. The four of them have their own individual lives. There's reasoning, there's logic involved within everything. South Indian and Maharashtrian household, so very broad-minded. No conservative values or norms as such. So she gets to sleep on the bed.
So, like you mentioned, South Indian and Maharashtrian. So, how did that go about with your parents? Yeah.
Yeah, that's... I can't imagine a Jain family accepting a South Indian.
Yeah. So there was a certain rebellious streak, right, that was taking a form in me because of the absolute lack of logic and reasoning in the house. But unfortunately, I had yet to see my parents' biggest performance of their lives. So let's talk about my sister, the apple of everyone's eyes, the obedient, doting elder one that could do nothing wrong in comparison to me, the twisted offspring.
Okay, so it was
What?
opposite. Like she's the
Yes.
Good one,
obedient
yeah.
daughter who does
Yeah.
everything.
It ends up being like that, right? The smaller one
Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of
Yeah,
always
I
get.
am that
Yeah.
bichari, badi bachi does everything.
So what happens to be her flaw? Just one word, love. And she fought for her love marriage for 8 long, miserable years. But my
Wow.
parents were firm. They said there'd be a love marriage over our dead bodies. To my horror, at that time, there were verbal attacks on my sister that she could make her own choices and stand by them because they mistakenly educated her to do so. So they were regretting their
Zyada
choice.
padha liya.
Haan. And this from an educated modern family, the same one that compromised so much that settling down became the norm for them, right? So they could not fathom of anything. How can this girl make her own choices? So I watched my sister lose her will to live, crumble into clinical depression, and I felt powerless the entire time, coming to terms with the selfish, conditionality of my parents, because it's supposed to be unconditional love. All that you really need and want is support, love, and acceptance from your parents, which I get it is still, again, a privilege for a lot of households. You need to
Definitely.
work towards that acceptance. You need to fight towards that understanding and acceptance, and that's sad. But she eventually married this gem of a person. My parents graced the wedding with, just their presence, but they immediately disowned her after. So it's been more than 2 years. She still does not have space to come back to her own house. We passed an entire pandemic where people lost entire families, and that still did not encourage a change of heart.
Nothing at all.
Nothing. The husband could have been a domestic abuser, right? For all you know,
Yeah.
the story could have been a lot worse, but zero contact and communication and zero, will even to reach out and bring it back. And I think at all, there's a lot of focus on the in-laws because the community is so well knit and close, right? Small, that they won't be able to gel with the in-laws. They want to be able to have similar traditions and values where you can do the festivities and everything together. And when they don't get that, they're like, ab hum kya karenge? Fir, once they're married for the rest of our lives, if we cannot even do the festivities together, what are we supposed to put our time to? Very weirdly, my sister's mother-in-law happens to be in the judiciary. So this is an example of a female empowered woman, I think, which my sister and I were lacking all our lives because we didn't have these examples around us. And this is the same woman that caught the wrath of my parents because they are like, she's so steely and ironclad and reserved. How could our daughter gel with somebody like that? This is where I think it really struck me. I had an epiphany that my community and family has a problem. It's a deep ingrained problem of understanding and accepting independent women who make choices for themselves. As simple as that.
Just my cousin also fought for 3 years to get married to the boy that she loved, and it was so in Hindus and Christians. It was a very big misconnect in terms of parents. And one thing that they kept saying, one condition that they were like, Arey, but if she gets married, how will he talk to the grandparents? Because they can't have the same language. That was a criteria that was needed for her to get married. And it was a very long fight. I cannot imagine, but because I saw the kind of things that happened, that the niceness, the whole, oh no, we are a very nice family, and the kind of ugliness that comes out when you're fighting against things that you never thought you would. Yeah, it must have definitely taken a toll on a lot of family relations as well. And are you allowed to meet your sister and your relatives? Or even that's-
It's weird now. Me and my sister shared a bed for 24 years of my life. It was a long time to be, just we were attached at the hip like that. And now to come back to my own house and not have my sister around, not for marriage reasons, but for, outcast reasons. It's just so weird. Have my domestic help asking me constantly, why is Didi not coming back home? Why am I going down to give her the rest of her clothes? The watchman is asking me these
she
questions.
can't even come inside
Not
to get that.
allowed physically to enter the house because you did not give me the choice to search for a boy for you. You know, stole that choice away from me. So now the ego is set on, this character has just come to life and the character cannot withdraw. So this is why I call it a performance, because it's just the rest of my extended family have all come to terms in weddings. We have gatherings where, they're taking pictures with both of them, with the families and everything. It's just my parents who've just they cannot they cannot seem to drop the character yet. And I just have to wait and watch how long does it take to just kind of continue this charade.
Usually, as seen in films, once you have a kid, suddenly it's like a change of heart and things. But it shouldn't go.
I mean, the pandemic even did not, cause that. So I really have. So I'm not standing on hope anymore. So thankfully, therapy came to save the day. So thanks to the therapist, she told me that you can look at them as flawed humans, because I had a very hard time navigating how to exactly. I had all these hostility, right, towards my parents, while also being grateful to them for giving me everything that they did, right, in the first place. How do you... It's very tricky waters. Yeah. And then I was taught to just look at them as flawed human beings, to acknowledge that they're flawed, that they know better, but they cannot do better, and to not accept it, but to acknowledge it for all it is. That's about it. That's the only dialogue that I'm going to take with me till this continues. I mean, we all have our dark shadows and flaws, right? Nobody is perfect and can be. But again, like I said, the one conclusion I think for me and my sister is, what do you choose to do with the second life? You've had one suppressed one, but what do you do with the second not so secret life and make everything better for yourself, something that you were not given a chance to in the first place? And the sky is the limit when it comes to that. You can be anything. My sister can be anything that she wants to, even right now. Like I said, fortunately she's in a very, open,
not toxic,
reasonable household,
nice, positive
yes,
place, which is good for her.
Her aspirations are nurtured, and she's encouraged all the way, because the mother-in-law had to fight. So the mother-in-law left her own house. She was not allowed to educate herself further, so she had to buy her own books, for law and everything. Everything had to be done on her own terms, and then she built herself up to that level. So she understands the struggle that it takes to, detach from your parents. And when she saw what was being subjected to my sister, she was like, this is not going to work in my house. This is absolutely ridiculous. We are going to make a better identity and life from here on, because absolutely no woman deserves to live like this, where she has to be subjected to the conditionality, this hypocrisy of...
I'm really glad that she found a space like that, because so many times you take all the steps, you revolt, and then finally it's like out of pan into the fire situation sometimes,
Yes.
And that is where you feel like, what did I fight for and what did I really go for? And now I wish I did not, but I'm so glad that is not the case with her. And there are women out there in the family who understand actually what it feels like to go through something like that. I'm so glad that, in today's world, even mother-in-laws are still sometimes seen as that figure who just does not really understand you. And I'm not saying that is not true, that it can be for many, many families out there, but there is some kind of hope that even they are starting to understand and even figure out their own patterns that they themselves went through and don't want to pass that on and repeat that again.
This is the thing I don't understand, right? Because my mom was not allowed after her marriage. She wanted to do a job. And of course, Nani did not allow her to do that further. So I figured, because she was limited by achieving her own dreams, she would want better, right, for her two daughters, for her kids. But it ended up being the complete opposite. And you know what? I cannot blame her that much, because I sympathize with her. There's this community that she's a part of that's, constantly playing Chinese whispers with your mind and your thinking that these are the benchmarks. This is what you're not supposed to encourage or let go of. She's constantly subjected to this community and noises around her that I don't think she's stopped to pause for a minute and think for herself what can be the better of the situation.
The moment, at least in our society, it is not individualistic, right? You have to keep, especially if you're a married woman, you're a mother, you have to keep thinking about my husband, my family, my in-laws, my children. The moment it comes on to you, this is not a selfless mother.
Acceptance, actually.
You have to be this hero kind of person who just gives out everything, and you should not be thinking for yourself. That's still something that people
But I
have to learn
think
and
here
accept.
it's your parents are more scared because you're saying your uncles, aunts, everyone is accepted.
Yeah.
So then right now I don't even blame the society.
Yeah.
It's in their mind.
It's-
you know?
yeah,
It's
yeah.
in their mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, it comes down to sometimes your ego as well, right?
Yeah.
That I know if this is what I had decided,
Ego,
chahe kuch bhi ho,
fear.
I will not
Yeah.
step down.
Moreover, as you said, that thank God she didn't fall up.
Yes.
You know, so maybe they're a little scared, I think. I'm just thinking from their point of
Yeah.
view also. Maybe they're a little scared. What if it's a wrong choice? But I think once they understand it's the right choice, I'm sure they're going to be really
So
like...
2 years kind of is a long enough period through and out of the pandemic to gauge, right? Is the house good enough, like they said it was? Is the boy good enough to handle everything, like they said it? Is also why the rest of the family came around, because they saw that the guy is literally treating her like a princess, and you know, there's no limitation of anything in her life right now. He wants to, you know, go ahead. He's like, Sanju, let's build a school for you if that's what it takes to, you know, get you to start living out your dream. And her response is, I'm scared. Because the daughters have never been encouraged to dream and aspire for bigger,
And
but they've been
especially to that scale,
yeah, they've
right?
been encouraged to become the epitome of the proper married women and settle. So this is what I'm also kind of, as I'm unlearning all of it, I'm also trying to get her to unlearn all the limitations passed on to us throughout our lives and be like, this is really your second life, you know, make it or break it, it happens now.
Coming to second life, I think you did a lot to come to where you are now, Sarika. Please tell us, how did you finally get out of all that? I remember you telling me that you went to do the job and then you had to take your baby along as
Yes,
well.
yes. So
Yeah.
again, after that, I got a job actually. I was the manager for a fitness selling equipment company, and thank God the company was my mama's only, okay? So then, yeah, for I think 15 days, 20 days, they were okay to keep the kid. But after that, they started thinking going to office means, you know, aaram se baithna hai. Are we servants to take care of your child?
Yeah, I mean that is the grandparents and like
Grandparents,
chachas
yes,
and all
exactly.
of
And
them.
I understand. See, it's my kid, it's my responsibility. I say the same thing to my kids also. Don't expect that you are going to keep your kid here and go. No, seriously. Because even I have my life. If you want, you have a kid. Otherwise, it's fine. But I understand that. But what I wanted them to understand at that point of time was I was just working for you guys. I was getting the whole pay and giving it to you. So at least you take this responsibility of taking care of the kid.
You were doing this because
Because
of
of
the
them.
family's
It's a
business.
fair- it's a fair give and
Exactly,
take,
exactly.
yeah.
It's not that I'm doing it for myself. I understand because see, it's always I try to understand both the sides. Why would they take care of my child just like that? Okay, but okay, because I'm doing something for you. I expect that you at least do this for me. But no, they were not okay with it. And I used to carry my 9-month-old child. Morning 10, my husband used to drop me. Even he started with a job. We were jewelers, okay? And he started with a job. So he used to drop me. Sometimes maybe, you know, for lunch he used to come there. We used to eat together or sit or whatever is that. That's a privacy time, whatever we used to have. My kid used to be there in office, roam about the whole place. And she was 9-10 months old. That's it. Diapers change karo
Everything
in office.
while you're
and
working.
imagine the kind of food. In fact, I was even breastfeeding at that point of time. So imagine me doing all this, and that too, at least right now, you know, we are okay. If someone is, but that time it was
Yeah,
like, "Arey,
like-
chup chup ke karna ye cheez," you know. Even we had that mentality basically. And then go back again by 8 o'clock. And while coming back, my husband never used to come because he had late hours or whatever. So I used to travel in a bus.
So how long did you take your child to the kids?
This
then?
was for 1 whole year, and then finally I got this yellow fever because of,
okay,
you know,
that time.
a lot of health issues, and I didn't take care. And it was almost a last stage that when I found out, and so then I had to stop working for that period. I think after a year or so, I was almost moved out of my house with my husband.
Okay, and how did this miracle happen? Please enlighten us.
It is not a miracle actually, because I mean we were in a lot of loans and all this stuff I said, and their mission was accomplished. My husband took loans from outside and repaid them, so now they don't need you. So it's better you go out.
Now it's like
and you're
got
just thrown out of
everything
the
that you
house with a
want.
small kid. One more thing to mention is my elder daughter was not even here with me at that point of time. I had sent her to my mother's place because I could see that this environment is, and you don't want your child to
Your
see
child,
all this,
yeah,
you know.
yeah.
To go through just all of that. And
Yeah.
your formative years, if you just keep looking at this, sometimes
Exactly.
it's like, okay, this is how life is supposed
So
to be.
I'm like, at least if she's happy there, let her be there. Like, so she stayed there actually for 8 long years. She just planned
With
for 2
your
months.
like,
Yes,
her
with my mom
grandparents.
and dad. So we were just thrown out. Then it was a struggle, obviously. They used to come, they used to see what you're doing. Again, whenever they used to come, you have to wear a sari and all that, you know. Still there.
Again. So
Yes,
But you,
yes,
you
yes.
were into a proper nuclear family then set up. Just you and
Afterwards,
your- yeah,
afterwards. Yeah. But then whenever they are coming, you have to be the same way what you were before.
Adapt. Mm.
Yeah.
And it's still there now?
No. Now it is not there. One fine day, I just told my husband that your parents are going to come tomorrow and I'm going to wear what I want to. I don't know if they're going to say, if they are not saying anything, it's fine. If they're going to say anything, I'm not going to really change into it. And he's like, it's okay, no problem.
See, that's another thing, like to have a husband who like really understands and does not be like, no, why can't you just do this for
No,
4 days or 5 days?
In fact,
and
today
things
also
like
I
that.
told him, see, I may say some things, that you may not see, because at the end of the day, I understand, yeah, it's his parents, whatever it is. But he's like, okay, if you're telling the truth, then it's fine.
Again, a bare minimum bar.
Yeah.
All set.
Always.
Because I'm not lying, I know that. So that's it.
Definitely.
What you've done, I'm just saying that. That's
Yeah.
it. So it really, really took a long time after that. But okay, one thing what I understand is we only have to do whatever we have to do. No one is going to rescue us. I think we've been taught these fairy tales, where some prince will come and rescue you. And life will be better
I'm
and
your
all this
own
stuff.
hero.
So that's why we start expecting too much from our husbands also. It's our own fight at the end of the day.
Right.
It's not even his fight. He's already having a fight because he's got a wife and a mother.
Exactly.
So
they're
please
already in a tug of
don't
war.
put him into more trouble,
No, I don't think it's putting into trouble. I think even I can say that now. I don't know how it was 20 years ago, but at least now, in today's time, before me stepping into something, I would clear it then and there itself. Instead of just assuming that everything will be fine and everything will be right. And it's not just about like your marriage. I go that with anything, be it friendship, professional setting,
Correct.
whatever. I set the expectations and whatever I feel is right, and I will not change because those are what I believe in. First, to bring that clarity to yourself, I think will get time, because you've been living in an environment where you've seen certain things, and sometimes in your head you might feel, okay, that is what life is. This is how it is. Like for yourself to recognize that no, this is a pattern that is not okay, not something that I should put up with. To get that to yourself itself might take some time, and once you do get there, it's fine. Talk about it. Be clear about what you want, and it's okay wherever, if you do find that this is not working out, talk about it. It's not like, it's not some janam bhar ka thing that okay, that if I have said that I will marry you or I will be your friend, and if someone says something which is wrong, call them out. It doesn't matter. And if there really are people who value you and they understand that you're coming from a place that you want the good for both of like you and them, they will understand that okay, I need to change myself or I need to think over certain things, and that will sort out. If there are people who don't want to listen to you for anything at all, then you know that okay, you know what, I better not waste my time with these people.
Yeah.
So yeah, it can take some time for people to realize also that fine, I also need to have a strength to get out of this. A lot of blame comes down to people that why can't you just leave? Why can't you just like get up and be like, nahi, mujhe apni puri zindagi badal dena hai, and just like I don't know, become someone from a movie and do that. But I think that is where intersectional feminism also comes in. The definition of being free and having a life is not the same for each and every individual. Which community, country, culture you belong to, the way freedom is defined for you in your head can be extremely different. So to understand that and see what works for you, like we spoke about the woman who got murdered because she divorced her husband. Like a lot of women think that, I'm not just saying women but anyone, people in general think that again, like, oh, if you're not happy with the marriage, just leave. And that's not what a lot of people can do. And you just saw an example, and a lot of people don't know that things like this do exist, and you can't just magically change your lives in like one night. So yeah, it takes a lot to first get your clarity, get your strength, and then try to slowly crawl your way, step your way out. So, how did you finally make that decision and get the strength to get out and move to Germany, Saloni?
I think just the minute I got an acceptance letter from the university, it was a clear yes. Like I had to leave. So it started from there. Like I said, the clear escapism route that need to leave this environment, need to begin a better life for myself. Let's see how this goes. What I did not anticipate was the amount of change and the transition period, right, that was coming, because I hadn't felt all the feels of all the grievances over the past couple of years that I was facing. I was only constantly escaping, because escaping was the solution that I had figured out for myself. And while there, I realized there was still a lot of, like little nuances that I still had to accept, that this was what was passed down to me, this was what I was conditioned with, and the unlearning process, being honest with myself about that, about what kind of a life I could deserve and build, started from there on. But owning up to myself, right, for that okay, you've been dealt with certain cards till now and it's okay, not really letting the guilt of my entire family and what choices I was making bog me down. I think that is still like a work in progress, right? Because making those choices boldly is one strong step that you take by yourself.
And they were okay
But
with
then-
that? Like,
no.
when you wanted to apply and like, how did that conversation
They
go?
had to, because fortunately also other relatives in the family also were sending their kids abroad at the same time. So they did not want to be the bad ones,
Oh,
not
okay.
allowing me. Still sustaining myself and extending that period of time over there. Again, it was a lot of fights. It was a lot of explanations. Why? Why do you still want to be there? India has everything. The irony of it all is I'm now marketing to sell Ayurveda to the Germans, right? So my mom is like, beta, East or West, India is the best. Na, to tu yahan pe aake kar le. And I'm like, you don't need to sell Ayurveda in India. What am I going to do selling Patanjali in the home of Patanjali or what? It does not make sense. But I'm still trying to navigate, this, how do you not let the guilt after your back, and also, this entire narrative of your family is just, look at how stressed your parents are, why wouldn't you settle down? Why are you giving them such a hard time? Like all the onus and responsibility of giving them a better life just falls on my shoulders. And I only have one thing to say back. There's another daughter. I'm not the only one. She lives in the same city. She's like 15 minutes away, and the choice is on them to invite her back to the house.
She's
to
just
let
15
her
minutes
be,
away? Wow.
Yeah, to let her be a shoulder to be on. But you're not taking that choice. Instead, what you're very conveniently doing is projecting all of that on me when I already have chosen another life to live by, so that sustaining that without letting the guilt really, get to me is a work in progress, but it's happening because that's what you have to do. You really have to make a choice. You have to pick your battles and you have to sustain.
I can imagine, like, each time I take a small decision, that's a very big decision to like just move out of the country and build a whole new life together. But even something as small as, okay, I want to go for a sleepover, I want to attend a party, whatever it is, each time I have to do this mental calculation that I need business days to convince my parents that if my friend calls up and says, like, tonight something's happening, I can't, this can't happen, you need to inform me.
Buffer time.
Yeah, 5 weekend before. I need days to like present my case and make it sound convincing and have my friends call up and do all this. So there's so much of mental calculation that goes on around planning and plotting and how you're going to talk,
Scheming.
present this. It is so draining.
This reminds me of my husband, poor thing. Initially, when I used to say, 4 दिन बाद घूमने जाना है, रुक, time there. And I'm like, after he comes back home, and at my place, it was mother-in-law का ज़्यादा चलता था, It's not about father-in-law at all. So I'm like, did you ask her today? No, she was not in a good mood today. Please give me tomorrow. And poor thing, that's when I used to feel that they are caught in between. It's not, see, he knows how his mother is. So that's why I used to feel bad. But yeah, I used to give the responsibility to him only. This is your mother, you have to convince her. But I used to feel bad for him at the same time. Ki poor thing, he can't do anything. He's caught because I'm asking him constantly. पूछा पूछा.
I'm very clear like that. ये सब मैं नहीं handle करूँगी. ये 20 साल पहले की बात है. ये सब मेरे सामने नहीं चलेगा. But yeah, I mean that was the time that you had to deal with things like that.
And you need to take baby steps. I remember even my parents, they were against me and my sister working, okay? So, anyways, I got married and my sister wanted to work. She got a very good opportunity at Standard Chartered. And she's like, Sarika, you know, ye opportunity aaya tha, what do we do? My mom was also like, okay, let her go and work. But dad, we knew it's a little difficult to convince. So, smartly, what we did is, we just told him that she's going for computer classes for 4 hours, part-time job. She used to go, come back, एक रिक्शा रख दिया था. And next time when I went there, he's like, Saru, अभी कितनी classes इसकी computer की चलेगी और? And I'm like, Papa. Then I just said, Papa, it's okay. अभी वो सीख भी रही है और सिखा भी रही है. अच्छा, she's getting paid. I said, yeah, she's getting paid.
Like
was okay.
slyly कि हाँ वो क्या क्लास में सिखा भी रही है.
And the best part is इसके बीच में जिस friend ने job दिलाया था, by chance he went to her parents' place. He went to her parents' place, and he's like, you know, your daughter got a job, very good. No, my daughter's not working. So see, sometimes it happens that they don't understand you completely, but even they have their own, I wouldn't say reasons, but like they may feel that we are not able to understand. You understand?
Yeah, the
so we
generation
somehow
gap
have
always
to
exists.
Yeah.
I mean, coming from what happened with you in your time, definitely that was something that, I mean, you couldn't radically expect everything to change. It is somewhat the same now in a different situation, in a different level with like our parents. But it is a constant fight that just, it's always on. You're always trying to negotiate.
It's always going to be there. I'll tell you, today you may be thinking that, you know, मेरे बच्चे को मैं ऐसे नहीं करूँगी वैसे
मेरे
नहीं
बच्चे
करूँगी.
होने नहीं वाले.
हाँ, तो then तो well and good. I'm saying well and good then. But it is going to happen. Somewhere that generation gap is always going. And now the generation gap is just 2 years, not even 20 years. In 2 years, you see so many changes that it's really hard to digest many things. And it takes time for us, you know, to accept. So this is always going to be there. It's not like we are only doing this and, you know, next generation
I don't know,
nahi
man.
karega.
Like 20 years down the line, kids of my friends are also going to say my parents are like, yeah, they just don't understand me. And I'm
Exactly,
like,
exactly.
My parents are so good. What did they do to you? I don't know. How would I feel 20 years from now? I if I ever want to be something, I think I just aim to be a cool aunt to the kids of my friends or whoever. I don't know. I think I'm going to be super cool. But 20 years down the line, I don't know what they might think if I also come across
20
as
years down the line is our generation that'll be parenting, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's going to be the cool generation that's seen the bad and
That's
the
what
good and that
I'm hoping.
knows.
I'm hoping. That's what I'm hoping that 20 years down the line, they'll be like, "Arey, nahi, my parents understand everything. My parents are pressurizing me to go to this party.
You really need a bigger
may
cool
be also-
benchmark then.
I hope, but then pata nahi na. That's what. Maybe if 20 years down, they also just start saying that, yeah, my parents or my aunt just don't understand. They're so uncool. I don't know.
It'll be a
would feel
different
bad,
fight
but-
that time, you know. Maybe they'll say,
The battles are going to be completely different, yeah. I mean, we probably cannot imagine how weird the battles get then.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking
Because
about.
the generation that is coming up now, you know, the generation Z, जो भी बोलते हैं,
Yeah,
I
उसके
don't
भी
even-
बात किया, I don't know what, but so yeah, it would be interesting to see what kids like 20 years down the line would find problematic or uncool about us. I don't know, man. Like, okay, so while we do all this planning, plotting, living through lives and all, what were the things that made you feel that there was some kind of support or something that you could turn to? I know, like in my life, if I had super strict parents, I had few other people that I could trust. Like I had my best friend. I had a few teachers also sometimes I could go and talk to. And yeah, I think my uncles and aunts were a bit cooler than my parents. I couldn't obviously go and tell them everything. But there was some things, like, you know, if I was not allowed to wear long, super long earrings, my aunt would just bring earrings for me. If I want to go for a sleepover, my parents' friends would call up my parents and say that, nee, we're doing everything. They would sometimes come and pick me also and just take me to the house so that my parents were assured. What the kind of support that you all had, or like you all reached out to?
So for me, obviously my parents. And then my sister, my only sister. So she's like, you can tell anything. Initially, I didn't share many things with her. Like, when you're married now, you always feel that they should feel that you got the best family, whatever it is.
Yeah, that image
that image maintained karna hai. So I think for the first 6 to 7 years, I never even shared with her. Jabki before that, I used to share each and every small thing with her, We were like partners in crime, actually, you can say. But then you were a little hesitant at that point of time. But still, they were supportive. Whenever they knew, my mom just took my elder one when she was almost just 2 years old, to carry all the way, which is like 30 hours distance from here. And she never asked me anything. So there are many things which way they supported.
Luckily for me, I think because there was no dialogue happening at home, because there was so much disconnect, and there still is with my parents. Female friendships were the ones that I turned to that saved the day for me. I think home at one point and still is a feeling that I constantly chase. It's not a physical place. It's just a state of feeling content by talking my feelings and talking about my dreams and aspirations with my female friends, ranting about my agonies, knowing that they will accept me for my flaws and for my hopes and, insecurities and fears and everything, with zero judgments passed. I think zero judgments is also the kind of life that I'm constantly chasing, but I don't know who I really would be today if it wasn't for, these sort of strong foundational friendships that you call home, that lift you up when you need them the most. And similarly, my sister, like I said, there's nothing like collective misery to bring you together. I don't think we had a lot of rapport before she got married, in terms of, we used to sleep next to each other, but we were huddled in our blankets with our boyfriends individually over the night. So there was a repetition of every night, right? So there wasn't really that nice sister rapport going on, which I think came into play after she got married and I went there, right? The way I could be there for her when, she did not have her my own parents contacting her, it started from feeling powerless and then feeling powerful, that I had the power to be there for my own sister. I could find myself in moments where she could turn to nobody but me, her younger one, dishing out any stupid advice that I could at that point in time. But I think that sort of just brought us closer together, and knowing that she's one person today, that also the brother-in-law that I got immensely lucky with. I think he's my biggest confidant, cheerleader, supporter. He's like, tu kar ye, tu udhar ja, tu wapas mat aa. Don't let anything bog you down. We have mom in the judiciary backing you up. So I feel like got lucky with a whole other family, like a parallel family that could understand the weird kid in me with all these weird hopes and dreams that could not feel quite at home in her own home. That's something that I feel extremely grateful and lucky for, that, if life dealt me this card, then it also gave me another beautiful family to stick on to.
That's so, heartwarming, that sometimes you feel, okay, if not then, through some way, I found a place that I can call a family who understands me, and I don't need to keep pretending and being this other person in front of them. Sarika, you have kids, so I think you also might be bringing them up in a way to understand that they have agency, they can ask questions, and they can do things in life, and they come to you, right? And I mean, that might be a struggle in itself. Motherhood always is throwing challenges at you, but you might have challenges, but you do.
No. I really don't have challenges. In fact, my biggest challenge is I tell my elder one, do something. My younger one is just like me, so she does a lot of things.
How
I'm
old are both of
mother
them?
we need.
She is 19, my elder one is 19, and the other one is 17.
Okay.
Yeah, so, but sometimes it happens, like my husband, Manish, is saying ki yaar, ye kar rahi hai, bahut zyada nahi ho raha hai. Just now also, while we were coming, this is not too much. I said, what did you do during your time? Tell me that. And he's like, I didn't do anything. I said, enough. So it's okay. But he's also not that strict father, you know. Like, he just comes and tells me, ki, is this fine? Is this fine? He's a little scared, you know. Like you said, maybe your dad is a little scared. कि कुछ गलत ना हो जाए, कोई point out ना कर दे. So he's scared. I'm like, it's okay, no problem. Don't worry. But otherwise, it's not a big challenge. And whenever I find it is very challenging, what I do is I just tell them, let's exchange. So today I'm your kid and you're my mother. Simple.
This therapy, family therapy session kind of. I also.
So
do
in
that,
half an hour, they are like, nahi, aap hi mamma ban jao.
So what do you do as a kid? You throw tantrums.
Yes, exactly. I throw tantrums and I'll tell, I want this, make this for me, do this for me.
She has some genius hacks that I need to start getting onto.
So they are like, no, it's okay. You take your place.
I want to be part of this, man. Like,
Yeah.
मुझे भी adopt कर लो.
Aajao.
We can
There
go
are
separately and
so many kids friends who actually come there and sit there. So I'm still trying, but I really don't know. As you say now, I don't know what my kids are expecting in the future or what demands they have in the future. And it takes a little time to accept change for anyone.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we are also somewhat trying to still understand why we are subjected to restrictions, and not that it's fair, but then जुगाड़ करने के लिए you have to
Exactly.
understand
But
why.
जुगाड़ तो करना ही
And
पड़ेगा.
then plot your way through it.
Exactly.
But yeah, that's our life.
And moreover, I feel I just explain them everything. Then it's your choice. So at least when you
That's a great thing.
when you
Yeah.
answer their questions, it's always better. You just tell you have to follow this. They are not going to follow it.
Of course, like they can't just put a manual and say कि you know यही करना है and this is your life. That is just not.
So for
going
that,
to
first
fly.
thing is we need to, at least this generation, it needs to educate. If you're going to impose something on your kids, you need to know why.
Yeah.
Because they are going to question you and then we'll also have no answers and I'm like, karna hai.
That's not gonna happen. But yeah, this was a great session, you guys. Thank you so much for coming today. I hope you all had a good time sharing your lives with us.
This was like a daytime sleepover that I needed.
I'm glad. I hope our listeners can also feel this way, and that would be so heartwarming to hear more of such stories and more such people coming forward and talking to us. Thank you so much, Saloni and Sarika, for being here today. I'm so happy to have done this with you, and I hope this starts a conversation, a secret conversation, but a conversation with a lot more people. And yeah, let's see where this goes. Thank you so much. See you all.
More power to you.
Thank you.
To all the listeners out there, if you have any such not allowed stories to share, and for all future episode updates, please do follow Not Allowed on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Our episodes are also available on Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and other streaming apps. We also have a special mental health discussion with a therapist about every episode, which will be released separately. So don't forget to check that out. If you have any other comments or suggestions, we'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm your host A, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.